Okay, Tony. The part one there. Nice sort of amiable chat about the racing post, but
Yep.
a lot of people probably know you through your sort of fairly fearsome reputation and your Twitter persona.
Yeah.
You have a bit of a reputation for saying it how it is, and you don't
Yeah.
really mind if people disagree with
No.
you. Is that something that you do because you were strict, well, you weren't allowed to do it when you were working for like a company? You know, why is it you sort of don't mind
Yeah,
antagonising
I
people?
deliberately didn't do it when I was working at Betfair. I left Betfair. We'll come on to the time at Betfair, in a moment. But I left Betfair in 2013, and went to go kind of like freelance and work for myself. Set up my own company and stuff. I deliberately only joined joined Twitter in April 2013. Because I had the freedom to, if I upset somebody, I only had myself to answer to. In fact, I remember setting up, I was so IT useless, and I still am. I remember being around Keeley's house in Ewald up the road, and he had to set it up for me. I was so idiotic, because it never really appealed to me. And it'd been going for a while then. I mean, you probably know better than I do. It was going for a while, but no. I joined in 2013, and I quickly got into the swing of things, yeah.
There's been some quite sort of public spats that have captured the imagination of the
Can't really
people with their
remember any,
popcorn
Please
watching.
feel free to remind me, yeah.
Well, I don't really want to mention any names, but if you can't really remember them, it's probably
No. If you trigger them, I'm quite happy to say anything to anybody. But I think, I'm in a situation whereby I hate people just skirting around issues. I just think if there's something to say, just say it. And I understand people can't see it because they're in certain jobs and the like. But if something annoys me or I've got a problem with something, I'll just come out and say it, and I don't care whoever kind of like disagrees with it, because that's what Twitter's there for. Everyone's not there to agree, are they? And there are some people with different takes. I mean, I've got something spectacularly wrong, and if I really upset somebody and they just say, look, can you please delete that? I have a policy of just saying, I'll just go back and delete it. So if I really kind of like upset somebody, then yeah, I'll hold my hands up. And the one thing I do, if I'm wrong, I'm always apologise, and I'll always hold my hands up. But I'll always fight my corner, and like I say, I don't care if people think I'm over opinionated. And I've actually kind of like reined it back in the last couple of years for, you have life-changing things. You just think, I don't want to get wound up about stuff. But yeah, for about a good, I would say, 7-year period from 2013 to 2020, if something needed to be said, I said it, whether I was right or wrong, whether it was welcomed or not, because, I can be a bit of an arsehole on there, and I can be a lot of an arsehole on there, but I'm quite happy to give my opinion.
Has there ever been a time when you sort of woken up in the morning and looked back and thought, oh, maybe I
Yeah, oh God, yeah. Weekly basis, really. I like a drink and stuff like that, and if you go, but a lot of people on, well, you see it with sportsmen and stuff like that. People go on there and people just say, look, get off, will you? A lot of stuff I'm talking absolute nonsense and things like that, but when I'm in a lucid frame of mind and I've got a strong opinion about it, I don't care who comes on and disagrees. I'll have a row with anybody. It can be counterproductive, but and I do come across very badly to some of the times. But people who know me know I'm okay. Well, I like to think I'm quite an okay kind of like grounded person. I'm never one to take myself too seriously, and like I said, if I really upset somebody by going after them or revealing something that I know and I probably shouldn't have done publicly, I'm quite happy to take it down and apologise to them personally. But a lot of the time, bollocks, I'll just run with it.
That's it's pretty difficult. It's pretty easy to take offence by something that's written, as opposed to something that's being said.
Yeah.
So is it? I mean, if you say you reined it in a bit recently, is it difficult? Is it a fine line between being wanted to be seen as somebody that's opinionated and strong-willed,
Yeah.
but not coming across the other side as being a bit of a bully?
Yeah, I mean, he's a real fine line. I mean, the problem I've got is because I've got a very dry sense of humour, and I refuse to use emojis, and I refuse to lose stuff like lols. I mean, Kevin Blake's always said to me, he said, you can make your life 90% easier if you just use the odd emoji, smiley face emoji, stuff like that. I think it's juvenile bollocks, isn't it? So I'm not going to be doing that. The tone of my tweet, I have a really kind of like piss-taking, quite a hard tone of comment. But you know, there's no nuance on Betfair. People just read the actual copy and just can't read behind it. One of the best accounts on Twitter, and he only just reached 1,000 followers. I think you've interviewed him, Matthew Mantle. He's got a brilliant sense of humour, and everybody, so many people misinterpret what he says. He's just a piss-taking digger, highly amusing, and a lot of the stuff he comes out with, I think he's genius. But a lot of people just don't get it because there's no sense of humour. There's no scope for people to just see, you know, reading what Tony said. I hate people talking about themselves in the third person. So yeah, don't delete that. But yeah, everyone just take that from here. If I say something, I know where I'm going with it. And if people want to take it another way, and just say, you know, playing to the stereotype, oh, Tony's just out for a pop again. He's had a few drinks. He's after a row. It's not really like that. But you know, I like taking the piss out of people, and I don't mind if they're well, I do mind if they're not undeserving of it, but I don't mind if they are from the top to the bottom. I don't care. If anybody's caught in the crosshairs, that's fine, but I never ever bother about getting abuse back. In fact, I think that's what Twitter should be about. It should be about conflict. It should be about differences of opinions. If we all had the same opinion and agreed with ourselves, and I think that's quite a bit what's wrong with TV at the moment, and the media, is that, you know, it's pretty much a closed shop, and people tend to agree with each other a bit too much, and it just makes for a dull world.
Has anybody ever taken it too seriously and where they've actually met you, sort of had a go at you, or had a...
No, I've got an open policy. If anybody wants to ring me up for anything I've said on Twitter, on the Racing Only Better podcasts, or the Weighed In podcasts, they're quite happy to pick the phone up. I'm quite happy to give my number out. Everyone's got my number, my email address. Who took offence latest? Oh, there was a time when I called it was all professional punters and stuff. I think I called them parasites or something like that.
I wrote a blog about that.
Oh, did you? Anyway, right. So basically, because obviously, if you're a professional punter, you're not giving anything to society because you're not paying any taxes, etc. And honestly, I had so many. That was like that when I said that, and I never really backed down from it. It was a massive fucking pile of people.
Was that genius on your part, though? Did you?
No. I actually thought it was pretty controversial because clearly, if you are gaining your money from gambling, I mean, you are not really contributing anything to society, are you? You're not paying taxes. You're not people, and a lot of people I've worked with, people like, well, I don't mind, people who run kind of like businesses out of betting, and they just, well, I do actually. I employ X amount of people. People like, I think Steve Hyde, brilliant guy, Each Way Betting on Twitter. People like, people like Mick Stone, brilliant guy, works with Andrew Black. They would come on to me, but only one person really picked the phone up, and that was Matty Williams. I don't know if you've done Matt Williams.
No.
In-running punter, used to work at the Racing Post. Great guy. Again, he started from a very lowly level, found in running punting. Anybody who makes that pay, fair play to him. And he's built up a really, really good life. I've seen him a couple of times recently. He's involved with a few Noel Feely horses, including Love Envoy. He actually rang me up, and he said, "I've just read this." He said, "You're out of order." And Matty's like anybody. Matty's very much like me. If he's got a problem, he'll pick up the phone and have it out with people. So anyway, right. So I thought, after a minute, so we were having a row, and after 2 minutes, we were laughing and joking because I said, "I'll take your point, but when's the last time you kind of like chipped in for your local hospital and stuff like that?" And it got very, very, because I know Matt, and we've had run-ins before and things like that, but it got very, very, very pally very, very quickly because he can say where I was coming from, and that's what I said. You say something, and on Twitter you haven't got time to really explain yourself, have you? You just say like, everyone took away, and you probably took away from that, parasite. But if you actually drill down into it and just say, look, fair play. If you are flying by the seat of your pants, you're punting every day. If you get it wrong, you've got nothing. You've got nothing to give the missus and the kids and stuff. But at the end of the day, if everyone was the same as that, society would be a very, very poorer place. Well, even poorer than it is at the moment. And with this government, it's on its fucking knees.
So where did you used to vent your anger, or not anger, but your opinions before you had the outlet of Twitter and...
Oh, in person, I've always been over opinionated. I get people's backs up. But I don't really care, to be honest. Even now, I mean, like even doing the podcast with all the other guys, you know, even in the pre-production kind of like pre-podcast chats and stuff like that, I'll want to cover something, and they said, no, that's not interesting. And we have we have rows about it, and you know, I got people's backs up when I worked at Betfair and stuff like that. One thing I do pride myself in, everything I've done, I go into it and I'm fully prepped. We'll come on to racing TV in a bit, but I'm always all over my subject matter. And even if I'm wrong about something, and Neil Channing says, you know, I may not be the best punter out there, but I try to be the most professional. And I'm very similar to that when it comes to topics, when it comes to knowing my subject. So if any people want to have an argument about something, or about horsing, or about racing, or about politics, something like that, I'll only go into it if I know what I'm talking about. I may be wrong, often am, but I'll have a bloody good, have a good argument with it. And like I've always been, like I say, I know the way I like things to be done, and that has always got people's backs up, whether it been at the Racing Post, been at Betfair, or whether it been at Racing TV, or whether it was the stuff I do at the moment. It's kind of like, I've always been brought up to speak your mind from my old man, and you know, all my three brothers are the same and stuff like that. We're all kind of like, if something's to be said and you think your position's right, then run with it, and bollocks to everybody.
No, racing, everybody says it's all about opinion. So do you think that single-mindedness has aided you in your success as a punter and a tipster?
Yeah, I mean, the punter and tipster stuff, I've listened to quite a few of your podcasts, and everyone's, you know, there's many ways of skinning a cat, aren't there? For me, it's very, very simple. So I've got no massive insight here. I read all about strategies and listen to your, you know, podcast about, you know, people doing different things, different strategies. But for me, I think betting and punting is about instinct. Now, you have a situation where I made a lot of money betting and running on rugby matches from between, I would say, 2004 to about 2009, 2010. Well, in 2010, I think they brought in cross-matching on in running stuff at Betfair, which kind of like clipped my wings a bit. But I would say, and it was unhealthy at the time, but so in that in that 6 year period, I reckon I punted on virtually every single live rugby union match, and that's going from the Super 15 as it was then on Friday mornings up until the Rugby League Super League matches on the Sunday night. And I had young kids then. I mean, that was, my boys would have been, God, it's embarrassing to say actually, my boys would have been 10 and 12, and I was just sitting there on the screen all day with the missus, you know, doing everything with them. The reason being because I made myself about a 10s on chance to win in running. And when I come back and say punting's all about instinct, I just had back then, and the numbers did bear it out. I just had instinct watching rugby matches, what prices they should be at any given moment. And I had a strategy back then. I put in loads of bets, all manually. It wasn't grass, wasn't using one-touch software, all manually input bets there. And I just put in a big lay about what price I'll be happy to lay, even if the team I'm opposing scored a converted try in the next one. The amount of times used to get matched, pardon me, the amount of times used to get matched when, you know, they looked like scoring but they didn't score. It immediately put you into a massive position. So yeah, I mean, a lot of the money I've won on Betfair would have been from that period. But since then, I learnt the error of my ways there, and I just thought, right, this is unhealthy. This is unhealthy, and I'm just going to punt more on racing. And my attitude to racing is very simple. Watch a lot of races, get the best price, and then go from there.